Zambian political scene. The trend, however, is often frowned upon as it raises questions on the genuineness of the defector. My guest on the program tonight has been a fierce critique of the ruling Patriotic Front. Until last week, he had been on a mission to dislodge the ruling party from power. But today, he's a changed man and wants to work closely with the PF. He is former spokesperson and Deputy National Secretary for the Forum for Democracy and Development. Antonio Mwanza, popularly known as Mourinho among his peers, now says he wants to contribute to national development by working with the party in power. The bigger question is, what has changed?
One Zambia, one nation.
There is a new name emerging in African banking, born of the needs of the continent in the 21st century, with a vision to unleash the energy that drives Africa. In Rwanda, Nigeria, Botswana, Tanzania, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. In Zambia, we united the forces of Bank ABC and Finance Bank. And now, as we launch Atlas Mara in Zambia, let's take the journey together. We are with you every step of the way on the road to your success. Let's work together in a smart new world of technology. Let's make success. Atlas Mara, now in Zambia.
One Zambia, one nation.
Welcome to Sunday Interview. I'm your host, Reviso Zulu. Mr. Mwanza, it's nice to have you on the program.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zulu, and good evening to the viewers.
From students' politics to national politics, what drives the passion?
The passion is driven from the fact that I'm a very patriotic Zambian who believes that whatever situation and whatever position one holds, it must be used for the greater good of the country. I am a strong believer that Zambia is bigger than the individual ambitions of any individual, and that whilst we thrive to get to the top of the table and to provide leadership from the highest echelon of power, I strongly believe that we have to provide leadership from anywhere where we are, and we should always accept the fact that at every given moment, at home, at church, at school, there will always be one prefect, one priest, one president at a given time. So for me, my passion is driven from the fact that I love this country so much. And this is the reason why I've dedicated most of my adult life to fighting for justice, equity, fairness, and to ensure that we have a just society where good work is rewarded, where hard work is rewarded, and where wrong is punished. And that has always been my passion, because I believe that Zambia has unlimited possibilities. I believe in the Zambian youth, I believe in the Zambian women, I believe in the Zambian people, and I strongly believe that if we work together, putting our energies together, and taking away our individual ambition and focus on the bigger picture, which is the nation, we can build a country which has got schools for all, which has got hospitals for all, which has got unlimited access and unlimited possibilities for anyone who is willing to work hard and achieve. Well, you're a popular name. I worked in the private sector. I've worked also into the international institutions. I am a strong believer in civic rights. I am a civil rights activist. I'm an Adventist. My church is Karingaringa Seventh-day Adventist Church. I'm a father of 2 children. My son is in grade 11. And my beautiful daughter is 1 year, 4 months. Her name is Chantel. My son is Romeo. I'm a farmer. I'm a family man. I'm a simple guy from the hood. The simple guy that you find on the street. The simple person that you find on the streets.
You've spoken about working in the private sector. You've not really spoken exactly where. And I'm sure you've been reading social media since your defection. A lot of these things have come up that, well, you've never worked since you left school. And others still say you actually never even graduated from the University of Zambia. You left prematurely.
First of all, anybody can complain and anybody can criticize. And it's fashionable for people to mudsling. And it's fashionable for people to say all sorts of wrong things to paint somebody black. What gives me comfort is the fact that those people that speak ill of me don't even know me. They don't even know where I stay, what I do, where I've been. They don't know. And that is not a point. What I do is that when I go, for instance, on social media and I see all those comments, I pay particular attention to those that differ with me on principle, because they've raised certain issues that they believe are wrong with my decisions.
I want you to answer. Where have you worked?
For those
did you graduate? Those are the questions we want to know.
Sure. For those that just throw malice and mud at me, I really don't pay attention. I laugh at it. I'm a graduate from the University of Zambia. I was a student at the University of Zambia 21 years ago. I'm a graduate from the University of Zambia School of Education. I've worked as a regional stocks controller for Zambia. If I don't want to go into the details, I've done projects for the United Nations Development Program. I've taught at various schools, including Great North Road, Charlie House School, Bauleni. I've done a lot of things, and I'm a farmer. But that is besides the point. My personal achievements are not what brings me into politics. I'm not into politics because of my personal achievement. So my education, my work experience is not primary, it's secondary. What brings me to politics is the desire to ensure that we have a better Zambia for all. What brings me to politics is the vigor, the passion, and the patriotism that I have, and the great belief and hope that I have in this country. And those are debates that I'm ready to have any day, to discuss ideas, to discuss policies, and to discuss projects, and to discuss programs. The politics of mudslinging is one of the reasons why this country cannot go forward, because we pay particular attention to issues that are very frivolous and that don't add any value. We should put our focus on issues that provide bread and butter for the people of Zambia, issues that provide opportunities for young women, young mothers, and youths. We should focus on issues that have to do with the governance structure of the nation, as opposed to what car does Antonio drive, or whether he has a car, or whether he's graduated or doesn't graduate. Those are very secondary. I guess you guys don't like to explain when we talk about your defection, but I want really you to explain. I know your political career again. I want you to go deeper into that one. You were UPND, at least participated in mobilizing the party, and then moved on to FDD, and then now to Patriotic Front. What do you believe in? What drives your work? Is it the ideology, the personal interest, conviction? First of all, it's
when you decide you're going to work with this party, what are you looking at?
First of all, leadership has to come from deep within you. I'm an Adventist, and before I make any major decision in my life, I take time to pray and ask for the face of God and ask for direction and guidance. And that's the first thing, because man has his own plans, but God has his different plans. So the first thing that I do before I engage myself in any activity is to seek the guidance and the face of the Lord. That is number one. Number two, I strongly believe that political parties, just like civil societies, just like churches, are simply vehicles that we use to achieve the greater good for the common man on the ground.
Regardless of what they believe in, regardless of their ideology?
Ideology is extremely important. The ability to deliver is extremely important. It is so easy to oppose. But the question is, do you have the capability to deliver if we give you power? That is a question that every Zambian has to ask. I've spent years in the opposition politics, and I know that the opposition political parties do exist to provide checks and balances, and that's the reason why they are called opposition political parties, because primarily their role is to oppose. But for me, ideology is extremely important. Conviction is extremely important. The ability of those that claim they want to be in leadership is extremely important. You have to look at their vision. You also have to look at their levels of commitment. You have to look at their honesty. Are they really in politics to provide leadership, or they're in politics to eat? Do they have the capacity to deliver on the things that they're talking about, the promises that they're making to the people of Zambia? So these are the things that always drive me before I make any decision.
Now, let's move on to defection. Really, so many people didn't anticipate that you were going to defect. You took everybody by surprise, really. And much more, you decided to join a party that you loved so much, you hated so much, and spoke strongly against. I don't know, why did you ditch the FDD?
First of all, I'd like to thank President Edith Nawakwi and the entire leadership at the Forum for Democracy and Development, FDD. it's a family. President Nawak and me enjoy an extraordinary journey that we have spent for the last 15 years. I knew her when I was president of the University of Zambia, and she was the member of parliament from Nari. And from there, we used to work together from my days at University of Zambia to date. So we have developed a very, very extraordinary relationship, and I've got love, respect, and nothing but love and respect for her and the entire leadership of FDD. And I want to thank them for giving me an opportunity to serve, because it is through FDD that I learned a lot of things that I didn't learn in other places that I was. So I really thank them for that. It took a surprise to a lot of people, because when God gives you a directive, you don't have to question it. If God says, take this child, put her in a basket and leave her on the river, and I shall take care of that child, you don't ask God, in that river there are crocodiles. If God says, I want you to take your son Isaac and I want you to sacrifice Isaac, you don't ask God any questions. I took a lot of time to reflect. I took a lot of time to look at the nation and where we are today. What made me defect to PF is very simple. It's the desire to serve. It is the fact that I have a lot that God has deposited in me. The vigor, the energy, the patriotism, the passion, the commitment to duty. And I believed that I would do well for the country if I joined the Patriotic Front and ensure that I contribute in the smallest of ways to achieving the programs and projects that the Patriotic Front government has put in place. I believe that sitting on the other side and just criticizing was very good for the sake of opposition politics. But for the goodness of the country, I needed to join the Patriotic Front and work with the government and contribute in the smallest of ways to the development.
What kind of politics are you proposing that for a nation to develop, for the nation to move forward, everyone must join the ruling party?
No ways. We need to have vibrant and strong opposition political parties. And that's what you're leading. And we need to have opposition political parties that are driven on ideas, are driven on policies, and opposition political parties that are providing alternative policy directive to the government. We have too much politics of bitterness, hatred, and tribalism. That is the wrong politics.
That's what you have not seen in 15 years. It's taken you 15 years to see that the opposition politics are bitterness and don't add value. Is that what you're saying?
My track record has been very clear about how I've conducted myself as a leader of the opposition. Right now, we are seeing a lot of insults, and people have taken it upon themselves that insulting the head of state is being political. There is a new school of thought thinking that you become a hero by insulting the head of state. People have to know that President Edgar Lungu is but only a human being. The office that he holds is the presidency, which is enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia. And you might have problems with President Edgar Lungu at an individual level, at a personal level, but you must have the decency to respect the presidency. It was an institution. If you don't respect the presidency, the insults that we see every day, how will the Zambian people respect you if one day you become a president? If you are going to oppose the ruling party without providing alternative policy, then there is no difference between you and the ruling party. This is the reason why
you were in the FDD. Yes. Your manifesto was very clear.
Yes.
You provided an alternative, decentralization, and I know other political parties have spoken of alternatives. Clearly, what have you left? Is it because God spoke to you and told you to jump into PF?
It's very simple.
Is it because you probably were facing problems with finances, politics of the belly, as others would call it?
You know, it's very funny that before I officially left FDD to join Patriotic Front, there was news on social media that I'm going to join UPND. And the people that are calling me hungry today are the ones that were praising me when that issue came out on social media that I was going to join UPND. And immediately, I went to Patriotic Front. I became hungry. I became Jaran Lokola. I became a politician of the belly. It doesn't work like that. People have to appreciate that the right to join any political party is a constitutional right which is enshrined in the Republican Constitution. And everybody has got a democratic right to belong to any political party of their choice. I'd be very happy for anybody to fight me on the issues of ideas, policies, programs, and so forth. But to simply say, Njala Mnyokola, which is not even the truth, that is something that I don't even waste my time on, because we have a lot of work ahead of us and we need to focus on providing solutions to the people of Zambia. I was talking about the politics that we are practicing today. I was surprised. The Minister of Information and Broadcasting Services, exercising her right, has come up with a board of directors for Daily Mail and Times of Zambia. And the first thing that some people are seeing is tribe. Before they even ask anything, they say, no, this list is full of people from Northern and Eastern. This government is tribal. These appointments are tribal. I believe that if the minister unveils a board, the first question that should cross my mind is, what are the qualifications, the competencies, and the experiences of the people that have been given these jobs? That should be the first thing. If I saw a Mr. Moses Mawere, I should ask, who is this Mr. Moses Mawere? Where did he work? What kind of competences does he have? But here, you just see the first thing is that, oh, these appointments are tribal. You can see that this is not the kind of politics that will take Zambia forward. I want an opposition political party that provides a clear alternative. But if you are running away, if you probably may, for lack of a better word, declare yourself as decent enough and practicing decent politics and having an understanding, a fair understanding of what opposition politics is. But you're running away from being an opposition member. No, and you expect opposition to stay strong. No, and to be what you were speaking about. We will always contribute in different ways from wherever we are. For me, the country comes first. This is the reason why, even if you heard, when I went to the Patriotic Front, I said I'm ready to serve anywhere. Because Zambia has to come first. Who is in power really might not matter, but what they are doing, those who are in power, that is what matters. For me, I believe that being in the ruling party gives me a better platform to contribute in the smallest ways in developing this country. I would like to say this. The Patriotic Front won the last election by 1.8 million people. They won by 50% plus one. They have clear policies which are pro-poor, policies which are aimed at ensuring that they lift the list of people in the society. There have been problems, just like any other government across the world. There are challenges of implementation because government is a huge structure. There is a party, there are government functionaries, there are all these different portfolios and different people that are working in government doing different stuff. So service delivery and delivering on the promises might take, sometimes takes long, sometimes comes quick, sometimes there are bottlenecks and difficulties. But what is important is the fact that the policies of the Patriotic Front are very clear. The manifesto is extremely clear. And their track record is clear. Where there are problems, this is why all of us must come in and say, here there's a problem. When did you realize, when did you realize the manifesto was clear, the problems were clear? When did you realize? No, I've always known that the Patriotic Front has always opposed for the sake of opposing? No. You see, I was the leader of the opposition. And the opposition has sacred duties to do for the development of the country. First of all, is to provide checks and balances. Secondly, is to ensure alternative policy. For the PF to move, there is need to have a strong, vibrant opposition. An opposition that is not driven by bitterness, malice, hatred, and insults. We want an opposition that is driven by ideas, by programs, by policies, and by alternative policies. Not this opposition which we have. I believe you which you belonged to. No, I was. That's why. If you look at my track record, you were probably the only exception. If you look at my track record, I think the Zambian people are very proud of my contribution as a leader of the opposition. As an individual, would you say the same about your party? Representing the FDD. Would you say the same about the FDD as being bitter and not providing alternatives? The FDD did a fair share of their deeds. For instance, the program of decentralization, which has been embraced by the government and been pushed by the government, was the brainchild of the FDD. And the government has embraced it, and they are delivering on the decentralization programs. There are bottlenecks, there are structural difficulties, but there is commitment to working and addressing these issues. And for me, I always want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And I will always give an example for cabinet ministers like Honorable Kampiongo, whom I spent a lot of time with a very nice personal relationship. If I had any things that I saw that the government was not doing correctly, several times I used to write to ministers. I used to go and approach them and say, this is not correct, this is wrong, you need to work on them. But you see, ministers have always had an open door policy, at least the people that I've been dealing with, they have always had an open door policy. Sometimes people politic a lot because they've got personal ambitions that they think that only them must be presidents and nobody else should be president. And if the people make a choice, they even have the audacity to insult the intelligence of the voter. They have the audacity to say the voters don't think they voted for a drunkard. The voters don't think they voted for a person who is coming from Chiworia. The voters don't think they voted for a pauper from Chawama. You cannot be insulting the intelligence of the voters. People have to realize that politics in a democracy is driven by masses, is driven by the voters. So if the voters believe that President Edgar Lungu is the man who can deliver on the promises, it doesn't matter how much you don't like the man. It doesn't matter how much you hate him. It doesn't matter how much you don't like his face. You have to realize that you have to respect the voters. I want to say to you that is driven by policies, not bitterness, insults, and all this kind of politics that we're seeing that is taking us nowhere.
Did you sell yourself to the highest bidder? I wanted to put that to you because just before you defected, you had several other meetings with other people. Not too long ago, people saw your pictures with Hakainde Hichilema, and after that, you probably met MMD and many other parties. Were you looking for a better deal?
Interactions and sharing
give you the better deal.
Interactions and sharing of ideas among its leaders is very important. And this is what I always want to preach to the Zambian people, that we might be speaking from different points of view. We might have different political affiliations, but we are not enemies. We are brothers and sisters. We are one Zambia. We are the same Zambians. So it doesn't matter where you belong. You are a Zambian first. You are FDD second. You are a Zambian first. You are PF second. You are a Zambian first. You are UPND second. So for me, as a leader in the national spectrum of our politics, consultations and sharing of ideas amongst and a cross-section of politicians has always been my bid. I've been meeting people from PF all my life. I've been meeting people from UPND all my life. I've been meeting people from PF, from any other sector. The reason
is that going to continue now that you're here?
You see,
are you still going to meet, for instance, Hakainde Hichilema?
If there's a reason for me to meet, if there's a reason for me to meet him, it is not a crime to meet him. What I'm trying to say is that we need to desist from this poverty of decency, where if somebody is seen talking to President Edgar Lungu, then he has been bought. When people thought I'm going to UPND, the UPND members were ululating and praising me. But when I decided to go to PF, I've become a bad person. And they're insulting me.
Why did people think you were going to UPND?
Well, they thought I'm going to UPND because, sometimes people come up with different reasons. Sometimes they see me on a picture with President Hakainde and they think, oh, this is where he's going because we saw him, we met President Hakainde. I meet all these leaders of political parties. We meet the church leaders. We meet the civil society leaders. We meet the journalists, the media people. Because at the end of the day, we need to be talking to each other. This is the reason why, if you followed President Edgar Lungu's tour of Northern Province, of which I was part of, he emphasized and reiterated on the fact that we need to learn to dialogue with each other. He gave classical examples that even those countries that were at war, even the First World War, Second World War, and all other wars that have been fought, they have not been fought and ended at the battlefield. They have been fought and ended on the table of dialogue. So we need to have this culture of learning to talk to one another. If I belong to Patriotic Front and you belong to another political party, I shouldn't be your enemy just because I belong to another political party. We should fight and fight passionately on issues of ideas, implementation of programs, and service delivery. I don't have a problem to have a debate any day about what government is doing or what government is not doing. But I have a problem to come and discuss that the president was sleeping in a garage. So what? Whether it is true or it's not true. How does that add value? What kind of example are we giving to the young people that are looking at us on TV every day, insulting institutions, insulting those in power, having personal vendetta, spreading and continuing to talk about tribalism in everything that
Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that when you were on the other side?
That's why I was never part of it.
You never sat down your colleagues. You never reprimanded them publicly as you're doing now.
No, I was never part of it, and that's the reason why the Zambian people have always held me in a greater light, because they've realized that I'm a young man who has committed my life to serving, and that is what I always want to continue. And believe you me, for as long as those that claim that they want to lead have no any agenda other than insulting President Edgar Lungu and accusing President Edgar Lungu, the Zambian people will not vote for them. For as long as those that want to defeat PF cannot explain their policies to the people other than innuendos and insults and tribal remarks, the Zambian people will not vote for them. These voters whom they insult, that they are poor, these voters they insult, that they are drunkards, these voters they insult, have got the intellect and have got the God-given wisdom, and they know a leader when they see one. And they know an opposition which is driven by hatred and bitterness when they see one. So if you want to go to State House, my simple advice is that if you are going to continue the politics of insults, bitterness, tribalism, State House, you never see it.
You did pour a lot of scorn on the PF when you were in the opposition, and others would call it a lot of debt on them and attack them almost on a daily basis on your social media platforms. What has changed? It's the same PF, same leadership, same policies, nothing new. And today you don't see all that.
I'm very proud of my track record as the leader of the opposition. I provided that aggressive type of leadership, not only to PF, but starting way back from Mwanza to the government of late President Mwanza, late President Michael Sata, President Edgar Lungu, and also President Rupia Bwezanbanda. Because I believe in what Ecclesiastes says, that whatever God gives you, you must hold it with both hands and use it to the best of your ability. So as an opposition leader, I was very effective to providing checks and balances. I was very effective to providing alternative policies. And that is the same passion and commitment that I take to PF. And it's not a question of
what has changed. What has changed?
A lot of things have changed.
PF, you didn't believe in.
A lot of things have changed.
It's not too long ago.
No, a lot of things.
A few weeks ago, you still attacked PF.
Yes, I was doing my job as a leader of the opposition. That is what my job, to provide checks and balances. But I have
so what has changed?
Yeah, it's very simple. What has changed is that the Patriotic Front has given me an opportunity to be part and parcel of the people that are working on the solutions to this country. And I want to be part and parcel of that train that is providing solutions. So they have given me an avenue, they have given me an opportunity to work with the government, to work with the party in the provision of solutions to the main challenges that the Zambian people have. And to me, that is the bonus, is to be part and parcel of the solution, and not to be part and parcel of the problem.
Let me take you back before the elections. You issued a strong statement, maybe, I don't know if it was strong, but a statement which clearly stated FDD was not ready to work with the PF. And at that time you called the PF Paya Future, and that's the name you gave them. I'm sure you probably just changed now.
No, you see.
And did you mislead your president?
No,
I know at that point there were rumors, there was talk that President Lungu wanted Madam Nawako to be running it. And you came out strongly and said you would not want to work with the PF, and your preoccupation was to get the PF out of power.
The FDD, just like any other political party, is driven by structures. In the FDD, they have what they call the National Police Committee, which is the governing organ of the party, and decisions of such nature, of alliances and who work with who, are determined by the National Police Committee. Those are not decisions that come from one person. So when the National Police Committee sat, they agreed as a National Police Committee that FDD will go into the election alone. And as a spokesperson, it was my duty to communicate those decisions and the resolutions of the NPC to the general public. So it was not a personal issue. It is a collective issue of the position of the party as FDD, a party, and not as Antonio Mwanza, the Deputy National Secretary or the party spokesperson.
How do you deal with the conscience now, your conscience, knowing very well you probably misled a lot of people or led them into believing you were seriously anti-PF, and deep down your heart you knew one day you would cross over?
No, if you look at, for instance, the first thing that I wrote on my social media page was that my conscience was very clear. And I'm proud to say I've never misled anybody. I've made my position on governance
issues. You made people believe PF was bad.
I've made my position very clear on every governance issue. If I'm in FDD, I've made it very clear. I'm in FDD, this is what FDD believes. If I'm in PF, it is my job to demonstrate what PF is all about, the programs PF are doing, the projects they're doing, the interventions they're making, and the policies that they have. That's my job. I'm good at doing my job. So the people know very well, and I have to thank everybody who has taken time to call me, those that have taken time to text me, and all those that have taken time to come home and just to be with me and to provide counsel and guidance and to continue to say we believe in you. And believe you me, there are masses of the people that believe in Mourinho that, as we are speaking right now, are crossing coming to PF. There are masses that are coming to PF. All those that believe in Mourinho, they know that I've gone to contribute, I've gone to save. So they are coming. They are coming. And the political landscape will never be the same.
So what are you telling the people you convinced to stop believing in the PF?
No, the issue is that when you are in a match, you fight to win. Bora kumakana. So when I was in FDD, it was my thorough duty to ensure that I projected
people to move away from the PF.
That I projected.
And then you leave them in the bush and walk back to PF?
No.
Isn't that treacherous?
It is not. There's nothing treacherous. And I want everybody who believes in me to follow me. And these are the calls that I'm getting countrywide and from everywhere. My phone is littered with messages. My phones are buzzing every day, every minute. People are saying, why didn't you tell us that you were moving? We could have come and pass it.
I was going to tell you, you're overrated. I was going to say you're overrated because you defected alone. You had no followers and you were such a big fish in the FDD, and you went alone to
No, I didn't.
Wasn't that a sign that you didn't really add much value to the PF?
If you look at the reactions from social media, from the airwaves, it is very clear. I thank God I didn't know, and this is what I've been telling my wife, I've been telling friends, that you see, I didn't know just how big the name Antonio Mwanza is, but that's not the point. The point is that the people that believe in me and their men are coming to PF, and PF will continue to grow.
And they never came with you. No, you didn't consult.
No, that is
when you were defecting, you didn't consult.
You know what?
You just left.
No. I did a lot of personal reflections. I did a lot of consultation. The Bible is very clear in Ecclesiastes that you should listen to 1,000 people but take advice only from a few. So I listened to a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people, and I preempted my movement even on my social media page to get the feedback of my people. And they were very clear what they wanted. The most important thing is that they're coming to the PF because they believe that working together we can make Zambia a better place.
What value do you take to the PF?
I think I take a lot of value. It's not for me to come here and do a CV on myself. I think the Secretary General, the Secretary General of the Patriotic Front, and the Deputy Secretary General, and my boss, Comrade Sunday Chanda, and the entire Secretariat, we have very clear mandates of how we're supposed to work and what our duties are, what our responsibilities are, and those are the issues that will preoccupy me. The Bible is very clear that you should never blow your own trumpet. In Proverbs it says, better a stranger praises you, but not you praise yourself. I don't want to be like those who say I'm the richest man. You should watch for
not too long ago you did praise yourself that you never participated in politics that didn't really suit the ideal political environment in Zambia, and you fail now to tell us what value you're taking to PF?
No, I'm not fair to tell you the value. We have the value that I take to PF is not for me to say it. I have got my superiors that I work under, and it's up to them to evaluate my contributions. We have a program, we have responsibilities, we have targets, and it's up to my superiors to say, yes, we are meeting our targets. Yes, you are performing to our expectation. It is not for me to do a personal appraisal. The Bible is very clear in Proverbs. I cannot blow my own trumpet. It's better a stranger praises me, but not myself. So my superiors are the ones who would know why you have given me a position to serve. And they are the ones whom I report to, and they are the ones who do an appraisal on me. And they do those appraisals every month. They do those appraisals.
You did cut yourself a very good deal. You arrived barely hours into the party, and you were appointed to a very big position, deputy media director.
No, look, I was coming from FDD as a deputy national secretary. That's a fourth position from the president, vice president, secretary general, and I was fourth. And I was the party spokesperson. And I've been on the political arena for a very long time. I did not join PF just as an ordinary person coming from the street. So it is a singular honor for me, and I just want to thank the Secretary General and the entire leadership of the Patriotic Front for giving me an opportunity to serve. If you listen to my words when I was making a decision to move, I was very clear. And I love what the Mass newspaper quoted. They said, I'm ready to be a donkey for PF and Zambia. And that has always been my position.
And
so
for me to be a donkey, but you're given a very nice position.
For me to be given a position is an honor and a privilege, and I'm very thankful to the leadership of the Patriotic Front for giving me that position. I didn't go there to lobby for a position. I lobbied to work. The position is an extra bonus. That's not what I went there for. That's why in my statement I was very clear that I'm ready to work anywhere, including just being on the grassroots as a branch, as a ward. I was ready to do that.
You were not promised anything.
No, that was not part of my there was no deal
before the defection.
No, there was no deal. Believe you me. That's why I love
salary.
No, you see, that's why I laugh.
The position itself.
I laugh. If you look at the vehicle that I drive and the vehicle that I have, you realize that. Believe you me, the most important thing that has to go to the Zambian people, for me, and I want to make it very clear, I'm thankful to the leadership of the PF for giving me an opportunity to serve. And I went to PF to serve the Zambian people because it gives me a platform to raise the issues that I've always raised directly with the leadership of those that are in power. And that, to me, that is what is important. A job is simply an extra bonus. But also, you have to realize that I don't come as an ordinary person. I'm a national leader. And it's just in good taste that the leadership of the party have seen something, and they have said, we can have him here, he can contribute in a small way because he has a background which is very clear. My background is very clear. My political contributions are very clear. My political attributes are very clear. And for me, I'm in PF to serve.
Now your position that you've been given puts you in a very awkward position, really, and your title. You're supposed to speak. You're supposed to defend the party. I'm wondering, how will you turn around 360 degrees probably and tell us, since you joined on Saturday, corruption ended in PF?
No, I mean, when you talk about corruption, and this is a very important topic, we know, all of us, that the issue of corruption is not limited to a single political party. And it would be a lie for anyone to claim that there are no issues of corruption anywhere. And this is one of the things that the president is very bitter about, because we have been let down, not by the Patriotic Front. You can look at the reports that are coming from the Auditor General, and you can see who is stealing public resources. It's not the Patriotic Front.
Now you believe that the president is working. I know. No, I got to you.
Yes, I want you to know
about September. You said President Lungu was paying lip service to the fight against corruption.
No, I want to be very clear.
Now you believe he's not paying lip service.
No, I want to be very clear, as I was very clear during that time. Article 225 of the Republican Constitution is very clear. It states that when the Anti-Corruption Commission, when the Auditor General's report comes out, it must be submitted to the investigative wings. The police, the Anti-Corruption Commission, have to move in. It is not the job of the president to be arresting people. We have a very clear governance structure. Ours is a constitutional republic. We have the executive, which does the executive functions. We have the legislature, who are there to provide checks and balances on the executive and to legislate. We also have the judiciary, which is there to interpret laws. And the Constitution in Article 225 is very clear that when the Auditor General's report is out, it has to be taken to the investigative wings, such as the police, such as the Anti-Corruption Commission. And it is the job of the Anti-Corruption Commission and the police to arrest and prosecute. It's not the job of the president. So we don't have to burden the president with unnecessary responsibilities that we have constitutionally not given to him. For me,
you're assuming, and when you speak so well, and I'm tempted to ask you, you didn't know all this when you went on.
No. If you
were deliberately misled.
No. If you look at my statements, I've always quoted the law. I don't give empty statements. I always take time to research, and when I issue a statement, it's based on facts. And
when you said President Lungu was paying lip service to the fight against corruption, was that based on facts?
You know how I liked it? Because the president.
Was that based on facts?
No, it was. Look, the president, when I raised the issue of corruption, the president was humble enough to give the response. And the response was very clear. He said, look, the Anti-Corruption Commission is dead. And I totally agree with the president that the Anti-Corruption Commission is dead. And the Zambian people must be upset that the Anti-Corruption Commission is moribund. The president has said, these guys are not working. They're making my work difficult. Because the president of a country is not like a captain of a farm. The president of a country does his work through the statutes. He goes through the governance structure. He goes through the programs that are there. And it's not the job of the president. You know, when we talk about the doctrine of separation of powers, if we push the president too much, we will be the same people who will be saying, look, he's now interfering with the work of that corruption. He's now interfering with the work of the police. The president has made it very clear. He says the Anti-Corruption Commission is moribund. And I expect that we as the Zambian people, we should be annoyed with the Anti-Corruption Commission. And we should be demanding that the Anti-Corruption Commission must be disbanded and allow the president to exercise his powers as given in the Constitution to select and appoint, to nominate and appoint new directors and commissioners at the Anti-Corruption Commission.
From your statements, are you implying that most of the time, as opposition leaders, you do take advantage of weaknesses in government communication to paint them black?
The politics of any country is about sharing of ideas and competing for votes.
It's about
That's why we are saying, Bora Kumakana. When you're in the opposition, it is your job to look for debt and to expose the debt. It is your job. And I did it very well. And I'm proud of that stance. No, it's not about misleading the people. It's to take advantage of any chance that you have as a leader of the opposition. You know, we have had great leaders. May he so rest in peace. President Michael Sata, for instance. You saw that when there was a funeral of the late president, and you realized that the MMD were using the funeral of the late president as a campaign tool, he took it upon himself to join that bandwagon and demand that he's also supposed to be there wherever the funeral is going. It is what you have to do as a leader of the opposition, to take advantage of the weaknesses in your opponent. This is a competition. It is like Manchester versus Arsenal. If Manchester realizes that the Arsenal defense is weak, they are going to take advantage of that. That's why it is our duty as Patriotic Front. It is our duty as leaders of PF, as members of the PF, to explain government programs, to explain the party's manifesto, to explain the projects that the government is doing. That is our job. And that's exactly what I'll be doing. I'll be going around to defend government programs, government projects, and also to explain what government is doing. Because if we don't do it, the others will come and do it, and they'll do it to our own disadvantage. So we're not going to allow that space. We won't.
You were vocal on ministers refunding the money they were paid when they were during the run-up to the elections. And again, on the Constitution, you did say the Constitution assented to by the president did not represent the views of the people. You still carry those views with you in the PF?
Exactly. The president has made it very clear that there are a lot of lacunas in the Constitution. The president has made it very clear, and the Minister of Justice, Honorable Given Luminda, has already started the work of engaging stakeholders to ensure that we do a thorough check of our Constitution. We make clear of all those lacunas, and that we deal with those clauses that are ambiguous. And the process...
Are we going to hear you demand that the minister should pay back the money now?
Of course, the government position has been very clear, which I totally agree with. Minister of Information and Broadcasting Services, Honorable Mlenga Kampamba, has been very clear and has given the government position. And the Deputy Secretary General of PF has given the party position. And the party position and the government position is one and the same, that we respect the court's judgment. We might not agree with what the court has done, but we respect, and that what the court has ruled is exactly what the Patriotic Front government is going to do. So we are bound by the decision of the court. So we have not.
With your 360-degree turnaround, why should Zambians believe in politicians anymore?
No.
It's like you don't have any principles.
I have not turned around.
No one believes in anything. It can be blue today, tomorrow to be white.
I've not turned around.
You choose the colors.
I've not turned around. The right to association is a constitutional right. The issue of moving camps is part of growth, is part of change, is part of movement. And I'm not the first person to ever change a political color. And I will not be the first person to change a political color. And it's not just about politics. Even in religion, people change. You start as a Catholic, later on you change, you go to Pentecostal. Even in football, people change. You move from Manchester, you go to Arsenal. Change is everywhere. Even in individuals' lives, people change. They divorce, they marry other people. Change.
People should be cautious when they listen to politicians. They should not be.
No, it's a normal thing. There's no one who can say I've not changed. People change schools, they change careers. I was trained as a teacher, I've changed, I'm a politician. A lot of people were trained as journalists, they have changed, they're diplomats. Others were farmers, they have changed. Even what we're doing, we used to grow maize, we have changed, we're now growing sunflower. So change is part of life. Change is inevitable. And there's nothing with change. We should embrace change.
You play with people's emotions, maybe that's what we should say. You write people on, then you simplify it, well, change is inevitable.
No, look, to be honest
when
with
you've been in a corner, well, you just tell them change is inevitable.
No, to be honest with you, and the people are so proud of
that
what
change.
No, they are so proud that I've gone to the Patriotic Front for two simple reasons. First of all, they believe that I need to be part of the solution, and that staying out doesn't help the Zambian people. They believe that I can contribute something to this country, and they've encouraged me to go into the PF and work with the Patriotic Front for the betterment of this country. Secondly, they also believe that as an individual, I've got dreams, aspirations, and hopes, and that I have to realize those hopes and aspirations.
But your former party leader does not believe in what you're saying now.
What is he saying?
Mr. Augie says you are a youth and have a small family which needs feeding. What do you make of that statement?
My statement is very clear. I have a lot of respect, love, and admiration for President Edith Nawaka, and I will not answer to any of her.
Your family doesn't need feeding?
No, please. I've been feeding my family from the time that I started staying alone when I was 18. I've been you come home. Once I'll bring you home. You see, and you see how many of us have had dependence in my life for the last 20 years. I've a lot of kids that I'm taking to school, both here and abroad. I have a lot of people that I help. Believe you, my family is proud of me.
You're a young politician, a new, vibrant, new ideas, and people probably look up to you, and they expect better and fresh politics from young people and politicians like yourself. But immediately after you defected, you straight away went for name calling and pledged to take on the UPND. Is that your number one task? You declared, I know the UPND very well.
Yes, and I do.
Is that your first task?
I do know this is a competition. We're in a race.
First task?
We are in a race, and as Patriotic Front, we are going to defend the power that has been given to us by over 1.8 million people. We are going to defend the mandate that has been given to us by over 50% plus one people that voted in the 2016 general election. And we are not going to make an apology, because even those that are outside government, they are busy fighting us every day. So it's our job to defend our team. It's our job to defend the dream. It's our job to ensure that the Patriot Front finishes the mandate that it was given by the people of Zambia, and that we deliver on the promises and on our manifesto. And I want to make it very clear that, for instance, you have seen that other than those who, when they defect, they start insulting where they're coming from, I strongly believe that Pamsasasai peace. And this is the reason why I have never said anything bad about where I'm coming from, because that's not the focus. My focus is Zambia. The focus of the Patriotic Front is Zambia. So we have no time, and the president has been very clear that he's not going to answer to those that simply go in for malice. And that is the stance that all of us have taken. The Secretary General is very clear. Even when you see where he goes, he's talking about what the Patriotic Front is doing. He's talking about programs of empowerment. He's talking about programs for the youth, for the women. He's talking about our manifesto. And that is exactly what we're going to do. And I seriously believe that as a team, we have what it takes to continue delivering on the people's
You grouped these other people, the opposition, as bitter people. Is that
no, but that is demonstrated
that bitter?
Ask them.
All the people in the opposition are bitter?
No. I don't want to name names here.
Because all of them bitter?
No, not everybody. There are a lot of sensible politicians out there. A lot of sensible politicians, decent family men out there that are doing a very good job from the opposition.
And did you say that you did not want to grow old in the opposition?
No, look. This is life, and life must go on. And I am in politics for one simple reason, to serve. And what platform should I use to serve better? Is a platform of the ruling party, because they have been given the mandate by the Zambian people. They are in charge of the social, political, and economic wheels of this country. And I want to be part and parcel of that solution. So, yes, the reason why, for instance, the opposition has been having it difficult to win the PF is because of the failure to provide alternative policy. This issue of thinking that you are going to win elections by insulting President Edgar Lungu every day, that will not take you to State House. Zambians are not silly. Zambians are not stupid.
So you are looking for someone who is in State House?
No, we are looking for a platform.
But when you moved, your idea was you didn't want to grow old in the opposition and you wanted to go to...
So that I had a lot of options. I could have gone to any Nationalika party. I had a lot of options. I could even have joined the church. I could have gone to priesthood. I had a lot of options. But believe you me, I believe that the Patriotic Front gave me an opportunity to sit down and say, look, Antonio, you have a lot that God has deposited in you. Can we hold hands together and deliver? And this is very important for the sake of the viewers. There is time for everything. Look at what the Americans are doing. The Americans were supposed to shut down their government last week. The opposition Democrats, they voted to avoid a government shutdown. They didn't say this is our opportunity to close Donald Trump. They didn't say that, because it would have been so easy. If it was in Zambia and that was the situation, the opposition would have voted that the government should shut down. But they realized that no, politics is secondary. Politics is there to serve the people. And they say we are opposition. We are Democrats, but we are not going to shut down the government. Because if we shut down the government, the people who will suffer is not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the president. He will always have to say the people who suffer
if the PF power, are you going to leave them?
No ways. No ways.
You don't want to die in
no ways. Look, I went to FDD. Everybody was telling me, why are you wasting your time going to a dead party? That's what they were saying. I went to FDD. I worked there for 4 years. I've gone to PF. I've been PF for as long as I believe PF is delivering on the promises to the Zambian people. But there's need to have maturity and decency. You always need to know whom to oppose. There was an issue, for instance, where some opposition political leaders were saying that the donors must stop funding the government of the Republic of Zambia because a leader of the opposition has been arrested. And I opposed that. In my days as an opposition leader, I went everywhere and I said it is wrong. Because if you are going to move away donor funding, the people that will suffer are my people in Kalingaringa, in Mtendere. We are the ones that are benefiting from the American support on ARVs. We are the ones that are benefiting from the American support on the water that we drink, the drainages that we have, the toilets that we have. The people that will suffer is not President Edgar Lungu. And I opposed that. I opposed it vehemently. I went to every radio station, I went to every TV station, and I said, these are not the politics that we want. We want politics that will help this country. Can you imagine that there are people in this country that when there's a drought, like it is now in most parts of this country, they are actually salivating, and they're actually happy that this drought should continue, that there should be no maize, that the people should do starve, and when they starve to the end, that they should all rise.
Is that based on assumption?
No, they have demonstrated that.
Have they told you that?
They have. I need
yeah,
them.
You can guess.
I need them.
Are you being positioned from Nari constituency seat?
I don't know, because the PF manifesto and the PF constitution are very clear. There is an elaborate process on how they adopt candidates, and that process is very, very clear. I cannot even talk about Munari because Munari is not even up for grabs. The issue is in court right now. The Constitutional Court is here to give a judgment, and we don't know what the court will rule. But there are people that celebrate that the country is going through difficulties.
Are you facing an opposition within the PF of all members that really feel unfairly treated, that you just walked in yesterday?
The hierarchy is
the other day you were insulting them.
No, I've never
and then you walk in and you want to rule over them.
No, actually, first of all, I want to make it very clear. I've never insulted the Patriotic Front. I've always been very strong in my criticism, because that is what I believe. If you're a leader of the opposition, you have to be very strong on your alternatives and on your checks and balances, and that's what I was doing. Secondly, I have a very simple task in Patriotic Front. I have the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, the Director of Media, and myself. That's our team. We are given the terms of reference, we are given the responsibilities and the tasks, and our job is to deliver. It ends there.
Do you have any other ambitions besides politics?
Well, there are a lot of things that I do. One day, my real ambition is that if God gives me an opportunity to grow as old as my father was, who died at 86, I want to open orphanages. I want to open places for widows, because I have a lot of orphans at my house, and I know the challenges that these young boys and girls are going through. I have worked with the hospice here in Kalingalinga. When I was at University of Zambia, I used to work for the hospice to help the old and the sick, and that is my passion, and I hope that God one day will give me an opportunity to have enough to continue to share with those that don't have. That is my passion.
Mr. Mwanza, it's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you so much. May God bless Zambia.
Well, that's all we have for you tonight, Sunday interview. We'll be back next week, same time. Pleasant viewing.